All right. So um, we will need a belt and a block today. Let's come back to our mats. We're going to start lying down on the block with the sacrum on the block. So, lying down. And getting your block there under the legs. Maybe take a few moments just letting yourself arrive here on the mat. Inhaling and exhaling. And then lifting up the block under the sacrum. Sliding the legs out to straight. And you can use the hands on the block near your waist for a little more traction there. And whatever little shifts you want to do to get settled in here. Sending that breath all the way up into the lower abdomen. And exhale, pouring off the block. So we'll take a few more breaths, being kind of easeful here on the block. And then bringing the legs together, parallel, either hip distance apart or right together. Flex the feet, reaching through the heels, rolling up through the abdominal muscles. Arms alongside, give those upper arms a little roll out. And then feel those upper arms gently drawing in toward the center, cooperating with the block. Make sure you can still breathe deeply and easily. And then we'll bring the arms up overhead. Bring those arms up overhead, stretching long along the front of the body. Pause there a moment. And then big inhale and exhale, reaching through the fingertips, pressing those arms back down to the floor alongside. Arrive here, and let's do that 3 more times. Arms up overhead, take a breath there. And reaching the arms back down alongside. And take a breath there. Twice more. And then finishing with those arms alongside, and we'll go down there to the other half of our body, reaching through the heels and reaching that right leg up, maybe about a foot from the floor, thinking of about being a parallel line. And then reach a little longer through the right leg, bringing it down. Lifting the left leg up, reaching long through the heel, feeling the back of that right leg pressing down. Take a couple breaths here. Bringing that left leg down. Let's do that once more. Reaching long through the right leg. Reaching that leg down, and then the left leg reaching long. And reaching back down. Taking a couple more breaths here on the block. And then bending the knees, lifting up off that block, rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, landing there on the floor, letting that lower back soften. And then pull those knees up into the chest, maybe all the way up in a happy baby if you like. A little tilting side to side. And then we will make our way up to sitting. And sitting in the crossed legs, Sukhasana. Using those arms alongside, lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And slowly release with the arms. Letting the hands rest on the knees, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders. Inhaling and exhaling, long and flat against the wall behind you. And then let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing those arms up overhead. And we'll interlock the fingers, turning the palms up. Pressing the base of the hands up, grounding those shoulder blades down. Squeeze the upper arms in toward the ears. And then slowly release the hands and hold an invisible block up there between the hands, trying to squeeze it. So if you need a bigger block, that's fine. Make your block a little bigger, but squeeze in without squinching the shoulders up. And then a long reach forward, coming out and over, landing on the floor, couple deep breaths into the back of the body, letting go of any tension in those shoulders or in the face. And then we'll walk the hands over to the right diagonal. So I'm being the mirror here. Right diagonal, nice long reach along the left side. And then left hand on the right knee, twisting open, turning yourself inside out. If you feel like that left arm is better on the floor, you can shift it down to the floor. Inhale and exhale, feeling those twisting actions from the belly, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. Pressing the back of that right arm away. We're going to reach the right arm forward, a little curve of the upper arm over the ear. And then from there, just pulling down to the center. Coming back up, unfurling the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. Back up on top of those sitting bones. Pause a moment. And then we'll change the cross of the legs. And same thing on the left. So we're going to start all the way with those interlocked fingers, reaching wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing those arms up overhead. Interlocking the fingers, palms to the ceiling. Extending up, extending down. Breathing here, long and flat against the wall behind you. And slowly release the hands to hold that invisible block. Try to give that invisible block a little squeeze. Coming forward, long reach out and over all the way down to the floor. Walking the hands over to the left diagonal. Nice long reach along that right side. And right hand on the left knee, twisting open, turning inside out. I'm feeling that twisting action from the belly, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. And really pressing the back of that left arm away. And then reaching the left arm over the ear, a little side bend forward. And reaching down to the floor, coming back to the center for a few breaths. Coming up, unfurling that spine, back up on top of the sitting bones. Few deep breaths here, letting all of that settle in your body. And then let's come around onto all fours. And finding a neutral spine, resting up against the ceiling, really drawing the lower abdominal muscles up, actually the kind of the middle abdominal muscles, and the lower rib cage drawing in and up. And so maybe make a little cat back, and then lengthen that cat back out without letting go of that feeling of lift. And we will extend the left leg back with the toes tucked under, pressing back into the heel. Still lift from the core. Don't let that sag just because you've got the leg back there. Optional lifting up that right leg like a hover plank. And we'll set the right knee back down. Retrieve your left leg. Same thing, right side. Tuck those right toes under, pressing back into the heel. Strength there in the core. And then optional, lifting that left thigh up. Setting the left knee down. Take a pull back in child's pose, picking up the base of the wrist, sliding back. Sliding out onto your stomach into the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, reaching out through the fingertips, lifting that upper chest. And feeling a reach back through the legs. And we'll take a bend in the knees. Really press that tailbone down, reach through the feet, pulling the heels in. Feel like the upper back is pulling a little more toward those heels as well. Bridge posing into the floor, imagining that block on your sacrum like we had and trying to lengthen along the front of the hip joint and the front of the thighs. And then straighten out the legs. Maybe those elbows lighten up and lift for a couple more breaths here. And come down, deep breath. And then making your way back up to downward facing dog. Maybe a couple of ripples through the spine. And then there we are, downward facing dog. And walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. We're pressing back through the legs, reaching those heels for the floor. And then we will walk the hands back to the feet, into the forward bend at the back of the mat. And taking a few breaths here. Pulling those leg muscles up, pouring down through the top of the head. And let's concave back, halfway up. Lengthening out the front of the body, pouring over, coming up to standing. Big lift up into the front body, yawn. Bringing the arms down, long down the sides. Take a breath and we're coming right back over. Big inhale up and exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over, and let's walk out to downward facing dog. So we walk forward and then take a press back with the legs. And let's lift the right leg up, reaching long through the heel. And through to the lunge. Lengthen that lunge out from the top of the head back through that left heel. Reaching the arms forward on a long diagonal lunge. And then reach them wide to the side and turn the palms to face each other. Squeeze a block between your hands behind you there. And then we'll come up to standing. Swooping those arms up the side into the high lunge. And coming down, stepping back to the plank. And then we'll lift the left leg up in a one-legged plank with the left leg lifted, maybe touching the big toe to the right heel. Strong core in the center. And switching legs. Set the left foot down, lift that right leg, one-legged plank. And then three-legged dog. Lift with the right leg, lifting up the back. And through to the lunge again. We still have our right leg. And this time down to VinyasaSun, bringing that left knee down. Coming up. Nice big circle of breath, smoothing everything out. And bringing those arms down, seated goddess. Rotate the right foot in 45 degrees, swivel on that left knee, wedging the right arm against the leg. And if you can, coming up to namaste. Pulling wide knee to knee, lift to the top of the head. And then we will swivel back to the lunge, lifting the left knee up, stepping back to the plank. And we're going to lower ourselves to the floor. So you can chaturanga down, maybe kneeling chaturanga down, or any other means. And then we'll all be in a cobra position, lifting up in that small cobra, and coming down. And then let's lift up again, but lifting the legs. So we have a cobra upper body, but we're doing salabhasana. The legs might not lift very high here. And then bend the knees, doing your best to keep the thighs lifting, though they're probably on the floor. Trying to reach the heels and upper back toward each other. Lengthen the legs out. Maybe the upper body gets to lift a little more as the legs come to the floor. Coming down. Take a breath. Let's have two. And then we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog and do all of that on the other side. You could put in a smooth through the vinyasa here if you wanted. And here we all are in downward facing dog. And let's lift that left leg up. And through to the lunge. And then lengthening out, bringing the arms forward on a long diagonal. And then reaching the arms wide to the side and back. Palms turn to face each other. Squeeze a block between the hands. And then swooping the arms up the side, coming up into the high lunge. And coming down. Stepping back to the plank. And we'll lift the right leg up in the one-legged plank. Setting the right leg down, lifting the left leg. Then three-legged dog from here. Pulling up with the left leg. Deep breath. Through to the lunge. Bringing that right knee down in Vyasana. Inhale and exhale. Nice, smooth circle of breath. Bringing the arms down. Seated goddess. Turn the left foot in. 45 degrees swivel on the right knee. Wedging the left arm inside the leg. And if you can, taking the hands off the floor into Namaste. Pulling wide, lengthening up. And swiveling back to the lunge, stepping back to the plank, and we will go through the vinyasa, any version. I'm doing the kneeling version. And then we'll all meet up in downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. And then looking between the hands to jump or step forward into the concave back, halfway up, folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And arms down, long sides down, center line going up. And let's circle the shoulders up the front, down the back. Inhale and exhale twice more. And going the other direction. One more, front to the back to interlock those fingers, lifting up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward, pressing out through the hands. And even though we've got the fingers still interlocked, helping with the stretch, see if you can nonetheless feel that strength of the upper arms pressing toward each other. So we're holding an invisible block even as we've got our fingers interlocked. And then release the hands. Concave back, folding over, bend the knees, sitting down on the floor. And having your belt nearby, and we'll Baddha Konasana, pressing the feet into each other, pulling those knees out wide to the side, long through the top of the head, and then coming over. Inhale into the center, exhale, pouring out. And coming up, bringing those legs in, and we'll do Navasana, the boat pose, the V sit. So you can use the hands behind the legs on the floor, behind you on the floor. Balancing up on the sitting bones and extending those legs any amount. Maybe they just go parallel to the floor. Maybe they get to straight. Reaching through the heels, reaching through the top of the head. Couple more breaths here, and then we're going to lower to the floor. And then lowering slowly down. You can use the hands if you want. Try to scoop into the abdominal muscles, and we'll land on the floor. And we'll get the belt. So we're going to be taking our right leg in the belt. So just make sure you've got space in your space for that right leg going out there. All right, standing on both legs. So we're doing Supta Tadasana, and we'll bend the right leg in. Take a moment standing on your left foot. And then getting that belt around the foot and extending the right leg up. Standing on the ceiling, standing on the wall opposite. One more deep breath here. And then we'll shift the belt into the right hand. Bring that leg out to the diagonal side. Try to keep standing on your left leg, keeping the back of the pelvis anchored to the floor. And then taking that belt off the right foot, holding that right leg on its own out there. And then slowly bring that right leg down the diagonal. It's going to come in next to the left leg for a moment. And then press that core down to pull the right leg back up to the ceiling. And we'll take that circle around 3 times, moving smoothly but feeling each position. Out to the side. And then making your way down to that Supta Tadasana. And back up to the ceiling. Twice more. And there's the right leg standing on the ceiling there. Take a couple breaths here, reaching a little more through those heels. And then reaching that right leg back down to the floor. Take a breath and we'll do the left. So bending the left leg in, reaching long through that right leg. And belt around the left foot, extending the left leg up. Reaching long through the right leg onto the opposite wall. And then belt into the left hand, bringing that leg out to the diagonal side. Really trying to anchor that pelvis down, anchor the core down, reach through the left heel, taking that pelvis off the left foot. Figuring out what you need to do to hold this leg there to the side. And then slowly bringing it down on the diagonal. Comes in next to that right leg for a moment. Then the abdominal muscles press down, draw up to pull that left leg back up. 3 more times around. Moving slowly but smoothly and deliberately. Breathing, keeping that breath going. I'm finding it takes me about 3 breaths to get around. And then once more. And then we'll finish standing on the ceiling with that left leg and take a few moments just being here with the muscles, reaching through the right heel, through the left heel, flattening into the floor. And a long reach down with that left leg. And you can move your belt out of your way. And we will make our way back up to the boat pose where we came from. So, in theory, you can lift up into that half boat and then hinge right up into the V-sit, the boat pose. So maybe you can, maybe not. So for not, we're going to come up on those elbows behind there, and then find where we can get the legs, and then making our way from there. So we kind of get a head start. Or by any other means necessary. Just come up and come into the boat pose. That's fine. And we'll hold here. 4 deep breaths. Or maybe 6 shallow breaths. And then bending knees. Back out to Baddha Konasana. And lengthening up, holding on to the ankles or shins. Coming forward and over. And coming up, let's bring those legs in, coming up onto our feet, and we'll expand up into the forward bend. Taking a couple breaths here. And then coming up to standing into that front body yawn. Lift a little more, lift a little more, and then diving back over. And continuing as usual, concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up. So you can hold here or we'll come forward to a one-legged plank and back up. So coming forward to a one-legged plank, maybe touching that right big toe to the left heel, lifting back up, three-legged dog, through to the lunge, warrior number one, rotating that left heel in a little and coming up. Big circle of breath here. And then let the arms follow that circle of breath around and all the way back up overhead. Namaste in front, namaste into the floor. Stepping back to the plank through a vinyasa or not downward facing dog, and then we'll do that on the left. Lifting the left leg up. Holding or going to the one-legged plank, lengthening forward. Maybe touching the big toe to the heel, and then hinging back up, through to the lunge, warrior number one on the left. And circling the arms around. Namaste in front. And namaste into the floor. Stepping to the plank through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. All right, let's lift that right leg up. And stepping halfway up your mat to lift the left leg up into a short dog or long standing split. And then stepping up to the front of the mat on the left foot. I need to be on the other side. Left foot and lifting the right leg up. Then from here, we're going to step back to the warrior two. So we'll be in warrior two with our left leg front. Bending the left knee, a big step back with the right. And coming up in the warrior two. So we're in the warrior two, left leg in front. Dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up. And into the triangle trikonasana, hinging over. Like when we had the belt out to the side with the left leg in the belt. Trying to feel some of that anchoring core strength. And then we'll come back to the warrior two. Bend the left knee, reach with the right hand. Dancing warrior again. And this time, Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon, or you can do the triangle once again. Coming up. Big lengthen up through that left inner thigh. Lengthen down through that left inner thigh. Try to feel the right leg and hip anchoring against the wall behind you, but without tipping yourself backwards. That's always the challenge. And maybe doing Shavasana, bending the right leg. Maybe the right hand can get the right ankle, but you can do it just by bending the leg and not getting hold of the ankle. And then from wherever we are, turn into a standing split. Turn to face the left leg. Extend that right leg up. Deep breath. Bringing the right leg down next to the left with a bend in the knees. Take a deep breath or two, letting that head hang, relaxing the face and the jaw. Utkatasana, the chair pose, reaching out on that long diagonal. And then let's twist to the left. Twisting left, wide arms. And then bringing that left arm around, hands to Namaste. One more deep breath. To the center, reaching forward with the arms again, and then coming up to standing, springing up into the front body, yawn. Take a few breaths there, letting that front of the body lengthen out. And we'll bring the arms down and all the way around to Namaste. Samasthiti, steadiness. Breathing here. And then we'll do all that around on the other side. Let's make our way to downward facing dog. Big lift up. And diving over. Concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. All right, here we go, lifting our left leg up. And then stepping halfway up the mat to lift the right leg up. Short dog or long split. And then stepping that right foot to the front of the mat, lifting that left leg up. And then a big step back to the warrior number 2. Now on the right leg. Reaching back with the left arm, reaching forward with that right inner thigh. Dancing warrior, bringing the right arm and into the triangle, Trikonasana, hinging over. So our leg position is a little like when we had our right leg out to the side in the belt. See if you can find anything useful from that here, but maybe you can't. And then back to the warrior two, bending the right knee, reaching back with that left hand. Bringing the right arm up, dancing warrior. And then Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon, though it could be the triangle again. And then this shape is even more like when we had our right leg out to the side in the belt. So we can find some of that core strength, that strength of the left leg. Maybe doing a Chapasana variation, bending the left leg. So you can just have the left leg bent or getting the left hand to the ankle. And then wherever we are, we're going to turn and face our right leg, lifting the left leg up behind, standing split again, just for a couple breaths. And then a little bend in the right knee, bringing the left foot down next to the right. Bigger bend in both legs, letting that head hang. Couple deep breaths here, like a little standing child's pose. And then chair pose, Utkatasana, reaching forward, hinging back. And we'll twist to the right, wide arms. And then bringing that right arm around to Namaste. And back to the center. Reaching forward with the arms. Coming up. Unfolding all those joints, front body yawn. Taking a few breaths, easing out that front of the body. And arms down, long through the top of the head, all the way around to Namaste. Finding Samasthiti steadiness. And let's make our way back to downward facing dog. Big lift up, diving over. Concave back, folding over. One more vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And once you arrive at that downward facing dog, see if you can shift it to an easeful pose. Breathing deeply, or maybe make it a wide feet easeful pose. And then we'll all come down, sitting back in child's pose. And let's come forward onto our stomach, into that Sphinx again. And we'll do the bow pose, taking a pull forward, lengthening out the front of the body along the floor there, evening up the two sides. And then reaching through those toes, bend the knees, bridge pose into the floor. So you could stay here. Next option is interlocked fingers behind, or maybe getting hold of the ankles and lengthen to lift, or not really lifting, just go more for the lengthen. And whatever we're doing, here we are trying to breathe deeply. And coming down. And then let's make our way around onto our back. And then we will take, so make sure the belt's nearby. We'll want that in a moment. All right. So, and then we'll do the other bow pose, other direction. So you can do that as the bridge pose, or you can do VinyasaSun, which literally means the upward facing bow. Either one, or maybe both. So you're doing that bridge pose, coming up using those upward arms. Maybe imagining you're on your belly on the ceiling and feel a little bit more reach of the arms and heels toward each other. So if you want to come up in the actual upward facing bow or VinyasaSun, you can bring those hands up by the shoulders and coming up there. And same thing, what if you were on your belly on the ceiling? Sliding those hands and feet toward each other, lifting from the back muscles. Hopefully we can all breathe. And then we'll finish up with whatever back bending we're doing to make our way to the floor. Letting yourself melt into the floor. And then let's slide the legs out. So we're going to do Padangusthasana number 3. The belt we didn't do was taking the leg across. So you can do it straight with the leg in the belt, or if you'd rather just do the bent knee and take it across more easily, you can do that. All right, so if you're using the belt here, we hinge that right leg in, take a moment, reaching long through the left heel. And then belt around the right foot, extending the right leg up to the ceiling, taking a few breaths here. And then belt into the left hand, right arm out to the side, taking that right leg across to the left. Letting that left outer leg roll onto the floor, the little toe side of the left foot along the floor. And if you're not, maybe making this more easeful, let that right foot come to the floor, even if you have to bend the knees or things get a little messy. And coming back up to the center, bringing that right leg down. And then we will go on the left, bending the left leg in. Take a moment, pulling that left thigh in, reaching through the right heel. And then belt around the left foot, extending that left leg up. And belt into the right hand, left arm out to the side, bringing that leg across. Rolling all the way onto that right outer hip. And be finding a more easeful place, letting that left leg land on the floor. So maybe the knees bend a little bit, that's fine. And let's come back up to the center. Bring that left leg down and into Shavasana. And choosing your arm position. Letting go of all effort and sinking into the floor. And then breathing back into your body, into the room, moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bend the knees. And making your way gently up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.